Hi everyone, it's Christine here from Christine's Stamping Spot, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I have a quick little note card set to share with you, and we're going to make a couple of cards in this video today as well. So here are the cards that I have made prior to coming on camera. Just some super simple, sweet little cards here. And all of these cards were made using an oldie but goodie stamp set called Sheltering Tree. This is one of my absolute favorite stamp sets, and whenever I do Stampin' Up! Events in person, I always bring this set with me. This is a great set for any level of stamper, for someone who has never picked up, and I have seen it with my own eyes, I promise you, someone who has never picked up a stamp before can pick up this stamp set and make a beautiful card. So I always take this to in-person events. It's a great stamp set to start teaching two-step stamping, but it's great, like I said, for stampers that have been stamping forever as well. It's just sort of an all-around fantastic stamp set. Now, this stamp set has lots of different elements to it. So you have your tree here, which of course you could leave bare if you were making a winter card and maybe use some of the snowflakes. It has then this sort of leafy structure that you can put on top of the tree, and then you have this little swoosh that I like to often put underneath the tree as like grass, and a little bicycle that's a two-step, a rake if you were making a fall card, a swing, and then some really beautiful sentiments as well. Because it's summertime here right now, I decided to just stick with summery kind of cards, so I did some really pretty, just simple pinks and greens in today's note card set. And we're going to make a purple one and a pink one today on camera, because I'm going to make two, because I'm going to show you different ways that you can create this multicolored look. By multicolored, I mean, of course, the two-step stamping of the actual leafy parts of the tree. So let me bring this up here. As you can see, this tree is part green leaves and part pink leaves. This one is a darker green and a darker pink. This one, darker green, lighter pink. And this one, light green and a purple. So hopefully that's showing up well on camera so you can see what I'm talking about. This is so simple to do. So let's go ahead and get started. By the way, I will have a link to my blog in the description box below of this video. And my blog will have links to every product that I use to create all of the note cards that you see in this video today. My blog will also have measurements for you on how I cut the various pieces of cardstock, and also all of the ink colors used. So if you miss anything in today's video, my blog is the best place to go to catch up and find out all of the different products that I used. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I'm going to do is bring over a piece of whisper weight cardstock, and this measures 3 3/4 by 5. I'm going to bring over my Stampin' Pierce mat, which is a great little gadget to have. It only costs $5 in the catalog, and it's great when you're stamping photopolymer stamps because it gives just a little bit of extra added cushion to the area underneath your stamping area, which is fantastic because with photopolymer stamps, as you can see, they don't have that cushioning that a red rubber stamp will have. Now, if you don't have the Stampin' Pierce mat, you could also simply use a piece of craft foam or a piece of any kind of foam, a mouse pad, your catalog even would work. All right, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are just going to stamp the little swoosh thingy, which I'm just going to call grass, sort of an abstract looking grass, this image right here, just so I can get that placed so I then know where I would like to be stamping the rest of my elements. I'm going to bring over just a scratch piece of paper, just a crumb cake that I scored incorrectly. So I'm just going to set this underneath my stamping area just in case any of my ink goes off of the paper here. All right, so we are all set. Let's go ahead and I'm going to ink this up in some Pear Pizzazz. Okay, so I'm going to get this little grassy swooshy nice and inked up here. You want to kind of peer through your block, make sure you have it inked up. This is a solid photopolymer image, so you want to make sure you have plenty of ink on it and all the spots are covered. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just stamp this down about 1/4 of the way up from the bottom. That will leave room for our sentiment at the very bottom of this piece of whisper weight cardstock. Okay, so I'm just stamping that down, and I have my Stampin' Scrub off camera here where I'm kind of cleaning these stamps off as I go so I can reuse the blocks. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my Early Espresso ink, which is a nice dark chocolatey colored ink, and that's going to be what I'm going to stamp the tree with. So I'm going to get my tree nice and inked up in my Early Espresso ink. There we go. So I got a little bit of ink. Sometimes if you're not paying attention, like I just wasn't there, you get a little bit of ink sometimes on your acrylic block. I find it best, you don't have to, but I find it best to sort of wipe that off just in case, because we don't want that to transfer over to our cardstock. So just grab a little wipe and take care of that really quick. And that just happens sometimes if you're sort of maybe pressing too hard into your ink pad or just not paying attention. So now I'm just going to stamp this sort of in the middle of the little swooshy thing that we are calling grass. And I'm just going to press down, apply even pressure along my acrylic block here, and then lift straight up. And there's our beautiful tree. And see what I mean, how this would make such a lovely winter card if you just left it like this and then used some embossing and snowflakes. I actually, from about 2 years ago, have a video showing how to do that on my YouTube channel if you're interested. Now we're going to take the leafy part of our tree, and what I'm going to do for this example is I'm going to use my Pear Pizzazz. So I'm going to get this nice and inked up in Pear Pizzazz. And then I am going to stamp off onto my scratch paper here, and then stamp onto my image here. We call this second generation stamping. It's a way to get more out of your ink pads. I wanted a slightly lighter green color than the ink pad provides. So by stamping off first, I'm now transferring lighter ink to my Whisper White cardstock. And there you have it. There's a very nice light colored green, and you can see the difference. Down here on this grassy swoosh was the full strength Pear Pizzazz, and up here is the stamped off once, the second generation. So that really can kind of show you how you can really get more bang for your buck out of your products by using the stamping off technique at times to enable you to get different shades or different gradations of color. I'm going to do up to this step one more time with another piece of Whisper White cardstock. Remember I said at the beginning of the video we were going to do 2 different cards today. The reason being is I'm going to show you 2 different techniques or 2 different ways to make these leaves up here multicolored. Okay, so we're going to do everything the same until we get to the little leafy part, and I'll show you what I mean. This will all make sense in just a moment. So I'm going to take the grassy swoosh again, put that in my Pear Pizzazz, and ink that again about 1/4 of the way up from the bottom. Stamp that down nice and good. Okay. Okay, we're done with that. Now I'm going to take my tree again, and I'm going to grab that Early Espresso ink, and I am going to ink that up. And then we're just going to stamp that down in the middle of our swoosh again. Make sure you apply even pressure to your acrylic block. Really push down. And then lift straight up. And there's our tree. I'm not really liking that tree. I didn't push down hard enough in the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to flip this over and very quickly do this again. I'm going to put some Pear Pizzazz on the grassy swoosh. I think sometimes it's good to show mistakes so you guys know that even us demonstrators who have been using these products forever still can make mistakes, and hopefully that will show you not to get frustrated if you do make a mistake. It's really easy to fix. There are 2 sides to every piece of paper. Alright, so now I'm going to take this tree again. I'm going to try this one more time. I'm going to get it nice and inked up in my Early Espresso ink pad. That looks good. I'm checking the front of it to make sure that it is all nice and inked up, and it is. And now I'm going to stamp down and make sure that I apply plenty of pressure to the middle of my tree, which will hopefully take away that mistake we made the first time. Yep, perfect. See that? All right. So just I didn't apply enough pressure the first time. Okay. So at this point, we're going to leave this one alone, because again, we're going to do the leaves a little differently. So I'm going to set this one aside and bring back the one that we have already done the leaves with. I'm now going to bring over some gorgeous grape ink. This is a brand new color that is now permanently in our Subtles collection, and we just did a new color revamp, and they also redid the ink pad, so that's why the ink pad looks a little bit different. So you just simply stick your finger here, pull it open, and then you slide it back, and you're ready to stamp. Okay, so I'm grabbing the Gorgeous Grape, and then I'm grabbing this teeny tiny little stamp here, and I'll show you on the cover which stamp this is. It is this one here. This little image right here in the bottom right corner of your stamp case. And it's meant to be the flowers on the top of the little grass, and we will use it for that in just a moment. But the first thing we're gonna do is I wanted my tree to be multicolored. And so I'm going to use these little dots in my Gorgeous Grape ink to add some purple color, some purple flowers to my tree. I'm not gonna go super crazy, but I'm just going to add some color here. And you can see the way that this stamp set was made. This little image that we're using right now really matches the sort of watercolored neat look of the original stamp, the big leaf stamp. So it goes perfectly with our stamping, what we've already stamped down. And I don't know if this was intended or not, but I think that it's fantastic, and it's a way to easily, if you have extra colored ink pads, to easily provide extra color to your leafy tree. All right, you can add less or more, whatever you want. I'm gonna just stop there and move on to the next step here. The next step that I wanna do is I wanna add a little swing to this one. So I'm going to take the swing image, and I'm going to take my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm just going to get this stamp, this swing stamp here, nice and inked up. And now you can peer right through it and get it exactly where you want it here, because these are photopolymer. You can look right through your stamp, stamp it down exactly where you want it, and lift straight up. And there we have a really cute little swing on our tree. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is go ahead and stamp our sentiment along the bottom. And I think I'm just going to use Thankful for You, which again, it just comes in the stamp set. I'm going to ink that in the Gorgeous Grape, which is the accent color, of course, that we placed in our tree. And I'm just going to stamp this as straight as I can along the bottom. Make sure I'm still in the camera frame, and just along the bottom here. And lift up. Perfect, beautiful. I love the font on this stamp set too. I think it's such a pretty cursive. Okay, so we are done with the stamping on this particular panel. So let's set this aside and bring this one back, and let me show you another way that you can do this. So let's say that I want some green leaves and some pink buds on my tree. But what if I don't have a pink ink pad? Well, if I have the Stampin' Write markers, I can do it similarly to what we've just done. And let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to stick my leaves back on my block here, and I'm going to ink them up again in the Pear Pizzazz ink. Get it nice and inked up here. I like to turn it over and make sure it looks nice and inked up. I'm going to stamp off again because I want it really light in color. Then I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to take my Stampin' Write marker. Now you may think, wait a minute, you're putting a pink marker into green. Won't that damage the marker? Well, I have found that it does not, as long as you do what I'm about to show you. So first we just kind of thump this onto the stamp over top of where we just inked up in the green. So I'm just thumping this marker all over this image so the pink is nicely distributed. And now there's a little bit of green on the tip of that marker. I'm not sure if you can see that. All you need to do is scribble it off until no more green comes off on your paper. And now your marker, at least for me, is in perfect condition. Now I'm going to breathe a little bit on this to re-moisten the green ink that we stamped first, because it dries rather quickly. So I'm just going to breathe on this. And now I'm going to stamp this down on top of our tree. And you will see we will have a multicolored tree in just a minute. Make sure that you press down hard, especially in the middle there. Apply even pressure then around the block, and then lift straight up. And I will bring this up to the camera. It's a much more subtle look, and I'll show you. I'll show you a comparison in a moment. But look at how subtle that is, but how pretty that is. There's pink mixed in with that green, and I just think it's very subtle and very pretty. Now here's the one where we stamped it directly, that we just did on camera, and then here's the one that we used the marker. So it's a slightly different look. But I think they're both equally beautiful. Now, if you wanted to, on this one, you could certainly take that small stamp and add a little bit of Flirty Flamingo ink, if you have that ink pad, along the tree here and add more. But I'm going to leave this as is because I think it's really beautiful. All right, the next step is I want to add a little bicycle this time to the front of this little scene. So I am going to, actually, no, I'm not. What I'm going to do first, I lied, is I'm going to take the grass. I'm going to take that little grass image. I'll show you on the cover what that is. It's this little image right here. And remember, this is the image that the flower tops that we used on the first tree to add some color is meant to layer over top of, and using the two-step stamping technique. So I'm going to ink my little grass up in Pear Pizzazz. And I want my grass that's sticking up to be a little lighter in color than the swoosh. So I'm going to stamp off my grass and then stamp it down on my paper. So hopefully that makes sense. Now it's a very subtle look. I'll bring it up to the camera again in just a minute, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. It's very subtle. I think it's a really nice look. I really kind of like it, the two-tone look to the grass. And I'm adding some in front too, because these are photopolymers. I can really just place this grass wherever I want it. So some strands of grass are tall, some blades of grass are shorter, I mean. So you can really have a go with this and really play with it. It's a lot of fun to make little scenes with this stamp set, I think. I really enjoy this set. I'm just going to add a couple more now to the front here, to the bottom, I mean, of this side of the tree. There we go. Okay, so now we've added some grass, and then we're going to take our little flowers, which again we used to add color to our first tree. I'm going to grab my Flirty Flamingo ink pad, and I'm just going to ink these up, and they will layer perfectly right over these flowers, and I'll show you what I mean. I'm just peering right through the block and stamping them right down. And I'll bring this up to the camera in a moment. Let me just finish my stamping super quick here. It's just so pretty. I'm going to add some to the bottom because remember I put some strands lower down into the green swoosh. So I'm just going to add some flower tops down there as well. And I'm not paying super much attention, honestly. I'm just looking through the block, finding the tops of the blades of grass and stamping it down. It's really easy stamp set to use. And that's what I meant at the beginning of this video when I said I like to take this to all of my in-person events. Because I often find when I'm doing in-person events, there are people there who have never stamped in their life and they don't know what the heck they're doing. And this is a great way to show them, you know, that you can do this without having to know what you're doing. In other words, it's very easy to do this. Okay, now I'm going to take the swing and my Memento black ink again, and I am going to add this swing here and just stamp it down. Again, I'm just peering through, getting it placed where I want, and now I'm stamping it down. Very cute. And then finally on this one, we're going to do our sentiment, and I think I'm just going to do thankful, or what is this one? Thinking of you. Okay, so let's just do Thinking of You. And I'm going to do this one in the pink ink as well, which again is Flirty Flamingo. It just sort of keeps the theme with the pink, the pop of color pink kind of going when you add the sentiment in the same color. And we're just going to stamp this down at the bottom here. Really simple. Just stamp this down right here. And lift it straight up, and there you go. Now I decided I wanted to really show off the grass on this one and how to do the grass. So I'm going to leave the bike off of this one actually, but I'm going to bring this other one over, the first one that we did. And I am going to grab my bike image. Now the bike is also a two-step process. You have this part here, which you do in your darkest color, and this is your accent color, which sort of is the little beams that connect the, you know, the seat to the handlebars and the wheels and all of that. And that I'm going to do in the purple ink for this card. So first I'm going to take my bike, my base of my bike, and I'm going to get it nice and inked up in my Memento Tuxedo black ink. And I'm going to stamp it down so it's a little bit in front of our tree. And forgive me if my head is in the frame. I try not to do that, but sometimes it happens. Okay, so as you can see, we have part of a bike stamped down. Now I'm going to take that second part here, and I like to just kind of plan it out first. It's probably going to be a little hard to see this on camera, but I'm going to do my best here. All you're doing is just lining up where those little sections meet. So where the tire meets is where the end of this triangle is going to go, and then the tops of these bars are going to go at the bottom of the seat and the bottom of the handlebars. That looks about right, and let's just stamp it down and hope we did okay. And we did, look at that. I'll bring it up to the camera so you guys can see. This is really cute. So here I have now my little two-toned bike. Can you guys see that? So it's got the purple little bars, and then the bike with the tires is black. You could, of course, do it the other way around if you wanted to. There's no right or wrong to any of this. Okay, now I do want to do a little bit of grass on this one as well, but I did want to stamp the bike down first just to get it placed. So on this one, I'm going to do the pear pizzazz again, and I'm just going to stamp off like we did before, and we're just going to be inking down this grassy image. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of grass on this one because we have our bike there. So I'm just going to do a little bit on that side. And now I'm going to take the flowers again and do them in the Gorgeous Grape, which again just sort of keeps our little color scheme together. So I'm just peering through, and you see there I'm stamping right over top of that bike. Totally fine with this two-step stamping. So fun and easy to do. I'll bring this up to the camera so you can see better. Okay, there we go. So there's our little scene that we created. This one was done using the flower stamp to add color to our leafy tree, and this one I used the marker. So just two different ways to get a same kind of look. Now I'm just going to put one of these together to save time for purposes of the video. So we're done with our Stampin' Pierce mat. Let me go ahead and close up on my ink pad super quick, because I tell you, if I don't, there will be a mess. I promise there will be a mess. Close up the Gorgeous Grape. Close up the pear pizzazz, and then of course our early espresso that we used for our tree trunk. Okay, move all of this aside. Now I'm just going to put the purple one together super quick. So the first thing that I'm going to do is bring a piece of Gorgeous Grape cardstock over, and this is going to go right on top. So I'm going to add my snail here to my card stock, like so, and then we're just going to center this right on top of this Gorgeous Grape. And then we will center this on top of our crumb cake card base, which is simply 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It's a standard A2 size card front. But first, I want to take some of my linen thread, and I'm just going to wind this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive along the top and along the bottom of this Gorgeous Grape cardstock, and then I'm going to take a little bit of twine, this is the linen thread rather, and I'm just going to wrap it this way and stick it down on the back. And then I'm going to do that again and wrap it and stick it down as I go, and then one more time. So there's 3 wraps that I'm doing like that, and then we'll just take our scissors and we will trim this excess off. And then I like to kind of flip it forward and just sort of play with it for a minute, get it exactly where I want it, because right now I still have a little bit of wiggle room, and it's not quite fully stuck down yet, so I like to just sort of play with it for just a minute, get it separated exactly how I want it. And then, okay, that looks good. So now we're just going to put the rest of the adhesive that we need on the back of our cardstock, and then we'll place this on the front of our crumb cake. And that easy, guys, is this little card. Done. For the other one, I would do the same thing, except we have Flirty Flamingo behind it. So it would look like this plus the twine. Okay, so that would be that one. And then I wanted to add just a little bit of bling, so I just added a couple rhinestones to the card front here. No special way to do that. You just stick them wherever you want. Just adds a little bit of bling. So let me go back through and show you the cards again really quick. Obviously this is the one we just made, super cute. This is another one that I made prior to coming on camera, which I did with the marker technique, very similar to what I just showed you. And that one's really pretty as well. It uses the Flirty Flamingo and the pear pizzazz on that one. Here's another one I did with the Gorgeous Grape. I stamped off the Gorgeous Grape on this example before stamping it down. So it's a little bit lighter purple than the one we did for the camera today. So you can kind of pick which cover color you're going for. They're both beautiful, I think. So there's that one. This one I did a darker green and darker pink, so it's a garden green for the base and the grass, and then melon mambo for the pink, and you can see our pink bike there, which I think is really cute. And then the last one, which I did garden green and flirty flamingo. So that's it, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I thank you so much as always for stopping by. Have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.